Founding Fathers was a pretty tiny fraction of the population back in the mid 1700s. And they knew each other. These were smart guys who knew each other and they communicated. Some of them hated each other. And yet they were able to find common ground and work that common ground and to do some cool stuff. Yet history always repeats itself because it's always forgotten by those who didn't live it. And so we've already seen many generations pass where people forgot that we got into undeclared wars, and all of our wars have been based on false premises, whether it's the Gulf of Tonkin incident, the sinking of the Maine, or the Lusitania. We've been lied to for a long time, and it didn't take long for the Founding Fathers to lose their country to the bankers. And that's where you see people like Andrew Jackson fought hard to wipe out the third actual, it's called the second national bank. That was the third experiment in national banks. It took a lot of a personal sacrifice for them to wipe that out, and we got it right back again. The people that we're fighting are more powers and principalities than they are people. We liberty-loving people are in the minority. We've always been in the minority, and we've got to fight harder to get anything that we want out of this government. So in other words, bad guys don't sleep. Our government has been corrupt forever. Who doesn't know that? We've all known that our government lies, and it's kind of a trope even that people say, oh, all politicians are the same, they all lie. But we keep re-electing the same politicians over and over again. The very same people that we say lie get our votes. And that's part of the thing is we've just got to wake up. There's a saying, it's from a book that I never even read it actually, but I've seen this everywhere, that strong men make good times make weak men make hard times. And it's something along that line has always been the case, where people forget what made them think about liberty in the first place, what made them decide to throw down tyrants, what made them decide to actually fight to throw down those tyrants. That's actually even another big story, that even in our founding generation, it was a relatively small number of people who actually wanted to leave England. A smaller number of people actually fought for the liberties that we ended up getting. And then we have to go through all of the fights to get a constitution that a lot of people acknowledged it's flawed, but we're not even doing it. And if we were to just do the Constitution as written, we would have sound money, we would have politicians on a leash, and we'd have very little opportunity for people like Epstein, and more importantly, the people behind Epstein, to tear us all apart from within. Like Perry was talking about, you can bring down a nation pretty easily if you destroy its basic culture and its whole reason to be. And we've done it. You can survive all kinds of apocalypse. You can survive big world wars. You can survive financial collapse. But when the morality and culture of a nation is destroyed, like we see now, not just with Epstein. Epstein is just an example of, what's been going on for a long time. When you've got a culture that accepts this, when you've got a culture that, like Chad was talking about, 2020, what the heck was that all about? We were so quick to lock ourselves up, close our businesses, destroy our culture for what? This is hurting everybody. And the fact that most of us have no idea how the Fed has been robbing us forever. We're making rich people richer and poor people poorer. That's a trope. We say it, but we keep voting for this nonsense. So we have got to get ourselves together in a couple of different ways. So what I propose is that this is just we're just practicing right now. We're going to start trying to put together and inspiring other groups to do the same. They get to know each other, meet in public, talk, and then make some decisions about where we're going to meet next and how we're going to start building a movement to start discussing the core of almost all of our problems. Pick a problem, whether it's endless war, which Eisenhower warned us about with the military-industrial complex, whether it's, the coming of a technocracy, which Eisenhower also warned us about with the scientific technological elite in that same speech. That pick a problem, any problem, and at the bottom of it, you're going to find government corruption, whether it's a, government-mandated monopoly in the creation of fake money, whether it is this endless warfare through the military-industrial complex, whether it's taking people's property away in property tax, which is actually specifically illegal in the Indiana Constitution. All of this stuff is the same root. It's corruption. It's politicians who do not keep their oath, and we keep re-electing them anyway. So I guess if I'm just challenging you guys is to look for the common ground that we have with everybody. Maybe you can even forget your pet issues. We all have them. We've got things that, that we will fight over. But I think everybody agrees on a few key things. Our government is a dangerous monster. And yes, we need some kind of government, but the thing that needs governing most is government itself. Because what has the power to tax is the power to destroy, the power to govern is the power to do anything you want to people. And that we have to keep a leash on. So if we can just get ourselves simplified down to just the core of what it is that people all understand is wrong with our culture, why our standard of living is dropping, why all of us seem to be fighting harder and harder just to make ends meet, it's all the same problem. And Epstein is just the most visible example of how our government has lied to cover up the darker secrets behind all of this. And let's just for a quick second, how many of us are really aware of how our government works? How can we be when there's so much that's kept secret on purpose? And if we have so many things that are kept secret, and so many things that, you can't talk about that, you can't talk about this government, you can't do that, what are we actually voting for? How do we know? What informs our vote if everything we're told about government is either a lie or it's missing entirely? So we've got this big blank spot with who is actually right behind our politicians. Who are the puppet masters? I mean, we can kind of see the strings in campaign donations, but until we put this all together into one big picture where the government isn't what we think it's supposed to be, those people are doing things we know they're not supposed to do. They make promises they have no intention of keeping, and all of it is our choice. Whether we vote for it directly or whether we don't vote and let other people decide, we pay for this with our taxes, we support it with our votes, all of this is wrong and we know it. And we've got to start uniting and find out who has been dividing us and start uniting against the dividers. That's really about all I wanted to say, but thank you guys for coming out. Thank you so much for this start, and I can't wait to see you at the next one.